There's a quiet mystery that lives in almost every home with a cat. It lingers in the soft footsteps padding across a hallway, in the way eyes glimmer like fading embers in the dark, and in that still silence when your cat chooses to sit just far enough away that you can see them, but not touch them. It's a strange kind of love, isn't it? One that doesn't fit inside the frame we humans built for affection. Dogs rush to the door when we come home, their joy exploding like fireworks. Cats just open one eye as if to say, "Oh, you're back. That's fine." But somehow you still feel something deeper than words or gestures. You feel chosen. And that's what makes their distance so hauntingly beautiful. Because when a creature as private, as proud, as guarded as a cat decides to share even a fraction of its world with you, it means more than any wagging tail ever could. For thousands of years, humans have misunderstood cats. We called them aloof, cold, selfish, as if independence meant a lack of feeling. But what if we've been reading their hearts all wrong? You see, cats live by a very different emotional language. They don't love with noise. They love with trust. And trust, for them, is never given lightly. When a cat turns their back to you, it isn't rejection. It's vulnerability. In the wild, to turn your back is to expose your weakness, to show that you don't fear being attacked. When your cat lies down facing away, they're silently saying, "I feel safe with you watching over me." And that's love. Their kind of love. But why do they still feel so distant sometimes? Why do they pull away when you reach out? Or slip quietly from your lap after only a few seconds of warmth? The truth lies in the way cats survive. They are creatures of control. Their world is ruled by comfort, consistency, and boundaries. Anything that feels too intense, too unpredictable, threatens that fragile sense of safety. Even affection. When we hug them tightly or smother them with kisses, they feel cornered, trapped. Their instincts scream escape. Not because they don't love us, but because love, in their world, has always been quiet, cautious, measured. It's not something they rush into. It's something they earn, one moment at a time. So when your cat moves away, don't take it as rejection. Take it as truth. That love for them means feeling free beside you, not controlled by you. There's something profound in that idea, that love doesn't have to be constant closeness. Sometimes, it's the freedom to come and go, to exist in your space without fear or demand. Think of it like the moon and the night sky. Always together, yet never touching, both complete in their own quiet rhythm. That's how cats see love. Not as ownership, not as dependence, but as coexistence. Maybe that's why their eyes seem so old, like they're carrying the wisdom of something beyond us. Because they are. They remember what it means to love without losing yourself. If you've ever noticed how your cat stares at you from across the room, not blinking, not moving, just watching, that's their way of studying your energy. Cats don't listen to words. They feel emotions. Your body, your breath, your tone, that's the language they trust. They can sense your stress before you even realize it. They know when your heart beats faster, when you're upset, when you're peaceful. That's why some cats come closer only when you're quiet. They approach calmness, not chaos. And maybe that's why they seem distant sometimes. Because in their world, stillness isn't emptiness. It's peace. It's the safe space where trust can grow. But here's something most people never notice. Cats mirror the kind of energy we give them. If you're patient, they become gentle. If you're chaotic, they become cautious. If you respect their space, they invite you into it. Their distance is often a reflection, a soft echo of how you move through their world. So when your cat hides under the bed, it's not disinterest. It's self-preservation. They're saying, "I'll come out when I feel you're safe too." It's easy to think they don't care. But if you've ever had your cat follow you from room to room, silently sitting nearby without making a sound, that's their version of holding your hand. They're not clinging. They're accompanying. And that's the essence of a cat's love. Presence without pressure. Their distance is not a wall. It's a filter. They're always observing, always measuring the world around them, trying to decide which humans are worth their quiet loyalty. Once you pass that invisible test, something changes. Slowly, almost imperceptibly. They begin to sleep a little closer. They start blinking softly when you look at them. They let their tail brush against you when they walk by. Tiny gestures, fleeting moments, but each one is a declaration. I trust you. I choose you. That's the kind of love that grows not from possession, but from peace. If you've ever seen your cat stretch out beside you, exposing their belly but not wanting you to touch it, that's a sacred moment. It means they feel completely unguarded in your presence. They're saying, you could hurt me, but I know you won't. Few animals express trust that way. It's not loud, not dramatic. It's quiet, vulnerable, honest. And that's what makes their distance so beautifully complex. They love us by revealing pieces of themselves slowly, like petals unfolding one by one under the right kind of light. The kind of light that doesn't rush, doesn't demand, just waits. Sometimes, the purest kind of affection doesn't look like affection at all. It looks like a cat who sleeps on the edge of your bed instead of on your chest. It looks like the soft flick of a tail when you enter the room. It looks like the sound of a faint purr when you're half asleep and think you imagined it. That's how cats say I love you. Not through touch, but through trust. Not through closeness, but through consistency. Because for them, love isn't about being held, it's about being understood. There's a moment, often unnoticed, that reveals everything about how a cat feels toward you. It's not in the meow or the purr, it's in the eyes. When your cat blinks slowly at you, just once, it's as if time pauses. It's not random. It's a silent phrase, spoken in the oldest language they know. In that fleeting heartbeat between blinks, they're saying, you're safe. I trust you. I see you. You might not realize it, but every slow blink is a bridge, a fragile thread stretching between two very different species, two hearts that learn to meet halfway. Because deep inside every cat lives an instinct that whispers, stay alert. Stay hidden. They are hunters and survivors by nature, wired to protect themselves from a world that rarely offered mercy. And yet, when they choose to close their eyes, even for a second, in your presence, that's an act of love born out of surrender. Cats love from the shadows. They show affection not by clinging, but by allowing you near their silence. When your cat sits on the windowsill, back turned, watching the world but staying within reach of your voice, that's affection. When they sleep in the same room but on a different chair, that's loyalty. Their way of saying, I want to be near you, but I don't want to lose myself in you. And maybe that's what makes cats so human-like. Because, in truth, don't we all love that way sometimes? We want connection, but also space. We want warmth, but not the kind that burns. We want to be close enough to feel seen, but far enough to still breathe. Cats embody that balance perfectly. They've turned emotional independence into an art form. If you think about it, every act of distance your cat shows is actually a piece of their history echoing through time. Long before they slept on our couches or curled up beside glowing screens, cats lived in silence, in the brush, under the moonlight, alone but content. Their survival depended on being unseen. And trust, for them, wasn't a feeling, it was a risk. That's why love doesn't come easily to them. It's not that they don't feel it. It's that they remember what it cost their ancestors to let their guard down. Every cautious step toward you is centuries of instinct being rewritten. A wild heart learning, again and again, that maybe this time, it's safe to stay. You might have noticed how cats test your presence. They approach, then stop. Look at you, then look away. Move closer, then pretend they didn't. That's not confusion, that's calculation. They're measuring your energy, your reactions, your patience. To them, every interaction is a conversation. Can I trust you with my comfort? Can I trust you with my silence? And when you don't rush, when you wait for them to come to you, something remarkable happens. They do. Because cats don't respond to force. They respond to respect. They don't follow commands. They follow connection. And when they do finally curl up beside you, when their purr starts low and gentle, like rain on a quiet morning, that's the sound of a heart that has decided you are worth the risk. It's easy to love a creature that runs into your arms. It's harder, and far more meaningful, to love one that makes you earn their trust inch by inch. Because with cats, love is a journey, not a promise. It grows in the still moments, in the pauses between affection and distance, between curiosity and caution. Their love teaches you patience. It asks you to slow down, to listen, to notice. And when you start noticing, you begin to see their small confessions of love scattered everywhere. A paw resting near your hand. A head pressed gently against your ankle. A quiet meow when you've been gone too long. Or that soft, rhythmic kneading on your blanket. A habit born from kittenhood, when love was safety and warmth. Those tiny gestures are fragments of the same ancient language, the one that says, "You make me feel like home." There's a particular kind of magic in that phrase, home. Because for a cat, home isn't walls or furniture or food bowls. It's a feeling, a vibration of safety that lives in the air. They don't love where they live. They love who they live with. And if you've ever wondered why your cat rubs their head against you, it's not just affection. It's anointing, a ritual as old as their species. They're marking you with scent glands that say, "This is mine. This is safe. This is family." It's not ownership in the way we understand it. It's belonging. When your cat rubs against you and then walks away, it's not disinterest. It's trust that doesn't need constant reassurance. Because once they decide you're family, they don't question it again. Sometimes, their love feels like silence. But silence isn't empty. It's full of presence, of eyes watching you softly from across the room, ears twitching to the sound of your footsteps, a tail flicking every time you sigh. That's their way of saying, "I'm here. I'm with you, even if I'm not touching you." It's not coldness. It's connection at a frequency so subtle most people never learn to hear it. And once you do, once you begin to feel their love in those quiet spaces, you realize they were never distant at all. They were just speaking in a language you hadn't learned yet. There's a strange kind of wisdom that cats carry, a calm understanding of love without dependence. They don't need to prove their affection. They simply exist beside you in peace. And somehow that's enough. Maybe that's what draws us to them, the way they remind us that love doesn't have to be constant validation. It can simply be presence. They teach us something most humans forget. That love isn't about holding tighter. It's about allowing space to breathe. That sometimes, the truest bond is the one that survives silence. Because if a cat can love you while sitting across the room, eyes half closed, if they can trust you enough to sleep beside your heartbeat, then maybe we've been looking at love all wrong. If we travel far enough back in time, before cities and comfort, before the sound of human voices echoed through the night, we find the first cats living in shadows. They were watchers. Silent, solitary, and endlessly patient. They didn't hunt in packs, didn't sleep in dens filled with others. They survived by being unseen. While wolves learned to survive through loyalty, cats learned to survive through caution. That instinct, that quiet self-preservation, still lives within them. Even now, in your living room, when your cat hesitates before jumping into your lap, that hesitation is history whispering through their veins. Their distance isn't a personality flaw. It's evolution speaking, a memory written in their bones. Long before they ever purred under a roof, cats and humans shared something unspoken. We didn't tame them. We invited them. It began with small fires burning in early villages. Grain attracted mice, mice attracted cats, and cats, drawn by the hunt but curious about our warmth, came closer. Not as pets. As partners. They stood at the edge of our light, eyes glinting in the dark, deciding for themselves whether to stay. And when they finally did, it wasn't submission. It was choice. That's the truth of cats. They've always chosen us. Every cat that stays in your home today carries that same autonomy. They are with you not because they must be, but because they want to be. Their love was never bought. It was freely given. And maybe that's why it feels so different. So sacred. When you see your cat sleeping beside you, understand what that moment truly means. They are a creature of instinct, born to guard their life, to trust no one easily. Yet there they are, breathing softly within your reach. Choosing vulnerability. That is ancient magic disguised as everyday life. Because every time they close their eyes near you, they are defying thousands of years of survival instinct. They are saying, "The world may be dangerous, but you are my safe place." It's easy to forget how delicate a cat's trust really is. They live between two worlds, the wild and the domestic, instinct and emotion. They can sleep on silk pillows and still dream of tall grass and open skies. Sometimes, that wildness stirs again. When they dart down hallways for no reason. When they stare at invisible things in the dark. When they hide from sudden noise or flee from affection that feels too heavy. That isn't rejection. It's remembrance. A whisper of the freedom their ancestors once knew. And if you listen closely, there's beauty in that wildness. Because it means that even in our quiet homes, we live beside something untamed, something honest. The truth is, cats never fully gave up their wild heart. And maybe that's why we love them so fiercely. Because deep down, we see something of ourselves in them. That same longing to be understood without being controlled. When your cat walks away mid-pet, they're not rejecting love, they're preserving independence. It's as if they're saying, "I will love you, but I won't lose myself in the process." And maybe that's a lesson we all need. That real love doesn't mean surrendering who you are, it means finding peace beside someone who lets you stay whole. If you watch closely, you'll see that every cat keeps a rhythm. A gentle cycle between closeness and solitude. They'll sit near you 1 hour, then vanish the next. They'll curl on your lap tonight, then sleep on the floor tomorrow. It's not inconsistency, it's emotional balance. Cats love in waves. They need the space between to recharge, to return to themselves before giving again. When they walk away, they're not leaving you. They're simply remembering who they are, and when they return, it's because they want to, not because they have to. And there's something deeply beautiful about that kind of love. Because what could be purer than affection born entirely from choice? Even science whispers stories of their ancient heart. Researchers have found that a cat's brain reacts to human voices. Not with the same blind obedience as a dog, but with selective attention. They know it's you calling. They're just choosing when it matters enough to answer. They are creatures of decision, not demand. And in that small act of choice lies their freedom. And their love. When they come to you after ignoring your call, it's not defiance. It's deliberation. It means they've decided that your presence outweighs their solitude. And in the quiet logic of a cat's world, that's everything. Sometimes, I think cats guard their hearts not to keep us out, but to teach us patience, to show us that real connection isn't instant. It's built in the silence between gestures, in the trust that grows slowly, invisibly, over time. You can't rush a cat's love. You can only earn it, through consistency, respect, and gentleness. You have to show them, again and again, that your presence brings peace, not pressure. And when they finally believe that, when they start greeting you at the door, brushing their tail against your legs, or sleeping near your pillow, you'll realize something profound. Their love didn't just appear. It evolved, slowly, tenderly, in sync with yours. Cats, in their quiet wisdom, remind us of something we often forget. That love doesn't need to be loud to be real. It can be soft, subtle, wordless. A shared silence can speak louder than 1,000 declarations. A glance can mean more than a hug. A single blink, more than a kiss. Because when a creature born from solitude chooses to share even a piece of their stillness with you, you've earned something sacred. You've earned a kind of love that has survived deserts, forests, gods, and centuries, and found its way, against all odds, to your living room floor. When a cat finally lets you in, it doesn't happen with fireworks. There's no dramatic moment, no grand confession. It happens quietly, in the kind of silence that feels sacred. Maybe it's the day they finally fall asleep on your chest, the steady rhythm of their purr syncing with your heartbeat. Or the first time they roll over, exposing their belly, a gesture of pure vulnerability. Or perhaps it's simpler still, the moment they look at you across the room, eyes soft, expression unguarded, and you just know. That's how cats say, "I love you." Not through noise, but through presence. Through the peace they feel in your company. It's the kind of love that doesn't demand, doesn't shout, doesn't cling. It just exists, quietly, faithfully, like a shadow that never leaves your side. When a cat finally chooses you, something changes. Not in them, but in you. You start to slow down. You start to notice the little things, the way they breathe, the rhythm of their tail, the stillness in their eyes. You begin to understand that love doesn't always need constant reassurance. Sometimes, it just needs space to breathe. That's the strange and beautiful thing about loving a cat. They train us, gently, without us realizing, to love better. To love without control. To love without expectation. To love in a way that expects nothing in return, and yet receives everything that truly matters. Because the love of a cat isn't ownership. It's partnership. A quiet, mutual understanding between two different species who somehow find comfort in each other's company. There's something almost spiritual about it. This connection between human and feline. They remind us that affection isn't about closeness, it's about trust. A cat that keeps its distance isn't being cold, it's being brave. They live in a world that's still half wild, half safe. They trust their instincts before they trust anything else. So when they choose to rest near you, to close their eyes beside you, that's not just comfort. That's surrender. And not the kind of surrender that comes from weakness, but the kind that comes from faith. They are saying, in this vast and unpredictable world, you are my peace. And if you've ever had a cat choose you that way, you know, it's one of the purest feelings in the world. But here's something most people never realize. When cats act distant, they're not withdrawing love. They're protecting it. They're making sure it remains real, untouched by routine or noise. To them, love isn't a constant performance. It's sacred. It should breathe, shift, and return naturally. So they step away not to escape, but to preserve the magic, the quiet thread that connects you, invisible but unbreakable. And when they come back, when you hear those soft paws in the night, moving closer to where you sleep, you'll feel it. That quiet, wordless bond that doesn't need to be seen to be understood. It's not just affection. It's trust reborn. If you think about it, cats are mirrors of the kind of love we often forget to give ourselves. They remind us that solitude isn't loneliness. It's healing. It's balance. They take time to be with themselves, and that's something most of us don't do anymore. We rush, we chase, we fill every silence. But cats sit in the silence. They embrace it. And in that stillness, they find peace. So maybe, when your cat walks away, they're not rejecting you at all. They're inviting you to find your own stillness too. To learn what it means to be alone and content. Because only when we're comfortable in our own company can we love others without fear. And that's the quiet truth cats live by every single day. There's an old saying. Dogs give love freely, but cats make you earn it. But maybe that's why it means so much when you finally do. When you earn a cat's love, you've earned something unfiltered, something untouched by obedience or habit. You've earned the trust of a creature who could easily walk away, but doesn't. A creature who chooses you over and over again, every single day, in their own quiet, deliberate way. That kind of love, patient, deliberate, earned, stays with you. It changes the way you see all relationships. It teaches you to slow down, to listen more, speak less, to give others space to be themselves. Because that's where real love grows. Think of all the moments you've shared with your cat. The nights when they sat by you without saying a word. The mornings they waited quietly at the door. The times they brushed against your leg, so softly you almost missed it. Every gesture, every glance, every blink. It was love. Not the loud human kind that fills the air with words, but the silent kind that fills a life with meaning. Cats teach us that love doesn't have to be loud to be real. It just has to be honest. So the next time your cat acts distant, don't take it personally. Don't see it as rejection. See it for what it truly is. A reminder of who they are. A being of both earth and shadow, independence and tenderness. A creature who carries the wild within their bones but still chooses to share a home with you. That's not coldness. That's courage. That's love, stripped of all its noise, shown in its purest form. They love you, even in their distance. Maybe because of their distance. Because distance gives love room to breathe. It gives it shape. It gives it meaning. And when your cat finally curls beside you again, when they blink slowly, purring softly against the quiet, you'll know. You'll know that what you've built with them isn't ordinary. It's ancient. It's sacred. It's real. So maybe cats aren't distant after all. Maybe they're just teaching us to see love in its truest form. Not in words, not in closeness, but in the quiet choice to stay. Because love doesn't always need to be loud. Sometimes it just needs to be there. And that is the kind of love your cat has been showing you all along. Soft fade out. The music slows. The narrator's voice lowers. And maybe one day, long after they're gone, you'll still feel them. Not as a memory, but as a presence that lingers quietly in the corner of your heart. Because once a cat chooses you, you are never truly alone again. You sit there for a moment, just listening. The house is quiet, but it doesn't feel empty. Because now you understand. Every blink, every quiet step, every gentle purr was never distance. It was devotion, shown in the only way cats know how. So tonight, when your cat walks past you without a glance, don't call them cold. Call them honest. Because love, the kind that lasts, doesn't always need to be loud. It just needs to be real. If this changed how you see your cat, take a second to let them know you understand. And if you want to keep discovering the hidden world inside their hearts, subscribe. Because the more we learn to see them, the more we learn what love truly is.